All right, welcome back, folks. Professor Almeida here, and in this video, I want to walk you through the project I assigned for Excel Module 2, otherwise known as Excel 2 Project. Coming up, you're going to learn about formulas, functions, and formatting. As a matter of fact, here's the full ebook. And let's check out the objectives for Excel Module 2. By the end of this chapter, you should be able to master these concepts. And as you will see, we will explore some more functions beyond the sum function introduced in the last chapter. Now, I'm ready to go here with Excel 2 Project. So for you, now would be a good time to pause this video and grab your instructions and start file. And with that, I'll see you on the other side. Hopefully by now you know how all of this works. And as you can see here, I've already made a copy of my start file. Switch away from the documentation tab as before. Don't make any changes here. I'll just choose the bin worksheet for now. We'll click on enable editing and I will switch over to the instructions. Project steps. Step 1. Maya Morales is the warehouse manager for the Computerware online warehouse in Madison, Wisconsin. The warehouse specializes in computer parts which consumers buy from Computerware Online. Maya has started to create an Excel workbook to track items in the warehouse inventory. She asks you to format the workbook to make the information clearer and easier to understand before she finishes entering the data. Now, reading through textbooks, usually what publishers will do is kind of give you this 1, 2, 3 approach when it comes to Excel workbooks. Usually when you're working with a spreadsheet, you first begin by sketching out what you're going to have in the spreadsheet. So let's say, for instance, you're creating a profit and loss report, or maybe it's income versus expenses, or a monthly budget, right? A monthly budget is pretty much income and expenses. You track your income and then you have your expenses. Let's say it's your rent, gas, utilities, food, and whatnot. So you sketch out what's going to be on your spreadsheet. You have the categories. And then in the second phase, right, in this 1, 2, 3 approach, in the second phase, you start to populate data, you make your calculations, and then in that final phase, that's where you make everything look pretty. Well, it doesn't really work like that in the real world, as you can see with this project. As a matter of fact, a lot of times you're going to end up with something like this, and you're going to have to go in and make certain changes. So I just want to set the expectations accordingly. All right, go to the bin worksheet. We've already done that. Change the name of the worksheet tab to bin list to use a more descriptive name. Now, there are two ways to rename your worksheet tabs. One way is to right-click directly on the worksheet tab and choose rename. Another way is to just double-click in the worksheet tab, and we'll just add list to the end here, and I'll hit enter. Step 2. Center align the contents of the range C3 to C14 to match the alignment of the other cells on the worksheet. So let's take a look at C3 to C14 here. I'm going to use the name box to select C3 to C14, just like this. And once again, they're asking us to center align the contents. Now, if you look in the Home tab alignment group, you have some choices here beyond align left, center, and align right. You also have top align, middle align, and bottom align. But what they're asking us to do here is to center align. So it's just a matter of using center. By the way, notice the keyboard shortcuts are missing here. Okay, so remember what I mentioned in Word and PowerPoint, center was Control E. And by the way, Control E in Excel, that's flash fill. So we're going to click on center in the Home tab alignment group. And moving right along, step 3, format the list of bins to emphasize that the information belongs together as follows. Part A, apply thick outline borders to the range A1 to C14. So once again, I'm going to use the name box here to type in A1 to C14. Now, of course, there's nothing stopping you from doing this, right? But if you don't have the real estate, it might be easier to just type into the name box. And again, it's A1 to C14. So they want us to apply thick outside borders. And if you look in the Home tab font group, borders is now in the font group. And you'll see one of the options here in the drop-down menu is thick outside borders. Part B, change the border color to orange accent 3, 7th column, first row of the theme colors palette. So what just happened here was, just kidding, you need to actually go in to the borders menu again and choose more borders. So now I need to change the color in the Format Cells dialog box border tab. I need to change the color to orange accent 3. Okay, so there's orange accent 3. And to reapply the border, I need to click on the top, bottom, left, and right buttons to toggle off the border. And well, in this case, I don't need to toggle off. I already have my new border selected. So that's one less step that I need to worry about, right? So I can just click on the buttons, and you can see in the preview here, I have my new border, and I'll go ahead and click OK. To see what you've done, click off your selection. There is your border with orange accent 3. All right, so how are we doing, folks? If you need a break, remember you always have that pause button. Moving right along, and I'm doing my best not to trip over my words. After all, it is 2:30 in the morning as I'm recording this. Moving right along, step 4, apply the short date number format to cell B16 to use a more common date format. So let's look at cell B16 here. Now, you'll notice in cell B16, we already have a date format. And if you look in the Home tab number group, check out the drop-down. It says date, but it's not the right date format. I'm going to expand the drop-down, and you'll see short date. So we want to go with short date, and that takes care of step 4. Step 5, in page layout view, enter warehouse bins in the center section of the header to provide a meaningful header when Shanice prints the worksheet. I don't know who Shanice is, but somehow Shanice ended up as a warehouse worker here. Another one of those Cengage issues. All right, well, let's roll with this. And to work with headers and footers in Excel, we need to switch over to page layout view. And we can do that right here in the status bar. Let's switch on over to page layout view. And if we move up, we can see add header. And there's 3 different columns here. They're asking us to go to the center section of the header and type warehouse bins. So where it says add header, I will type warehouse bins. Now you have more choices here in the header and footer tab, especially with header and footer elements. You can add all sorts of things, but for right now, we have warehouse bins. And that's pretty much it for step 5. All right, step 6, we're going to switch over to the inventory list worksheet. Notice how in bin list I can stay in page layout view, not to be confused with the page layout ribbon tab. And an inventory list, I'm in normal view. Step 6, go to the inventory list worksheet. To make it stand out, format the worksheet title in cell A1 as follows. Part A, merge and center the worksheet title across the range A1 to F1. So I need to first select A1 to F1, or excuse me, A1 to I1. So I need to select A1 to I1. And then in the Home tab alignment group, we have merge and center. Now I can click directly on the merge and center button. I can also access this drop down and choose merge and center. And now you have A1 in the footprint of A1 to I1. Part B, change the font to Calibri Light, Home tab font group. And you know what? I don't feel like looking for it, so I can just type Calibri. Oh, there it is, Calibri Light. And by the way, if you do want to go looking, you should be able to get a live preview. I know it's kind of hard to see in the background, but there's that. Part C, change the font size to 22 point. I'll just type it in. You can use the drop-down menu, of course. Part D, change the font color to Aqua Accent 1. Still in the Home tab font group. Font color, Aqua Accent 1. Part E, bold the worksheet title. So Home tab font group, there's bold. We can also use Control B. And that does it for step 6. So how are we doing, folks? Remember, if you need a break, you do have that pause button. Moving right along. Step 7, resize the width of column B using AutoFit to display the full text of the descriptions. So a couple of ways to resize columns, and I'll use column B as an example here. I can right click on column B and choose column width if I want to manually specify the width of the column. Now this number is based on the number of characters using the default font and size in your Excel worksheet. So that's one way to do it. Another way is to drag this double-headed arrow. But if I double click on this double-headed arrow that you see here, this will perform an auto fit so that you can see all of the contents in column B. Now, why is this important? Because you can see that for some of the items here in the inventory, the words are truncated or cut off. And the reason for this is because we have content in the next column over. Now, before I merged and centered cell A1, you notice that warehouse inventory appeared normal because, well, there was nothing in the adjacent cells. And that is fine right up until you start to add text or values in the next cell over. So that's why we perform the auto fit. Again, with column B, you want to position your pointer right on the edge of column B between B and C. Double click when you see the double-headed arrow, and that performs the auto fit. Step 8, Maya wants to display the entire text in cell F3, but format it so it requires less horizontal space. Make this formatting change as follows. Part A, set the width of column F to 9.00, which is wide enough to display the characters in each word of the column heading in cell F3. So just like I showed you, we're going to right click on column F, column width, and then we'll set this value to 9.00 and click OK. Part B, wrap the contents of cell F3 to display the text on 2 lines. So we have F3 here, and to wrap the text, it's in the Home tab alignment group, and you'll see wrap text. There you go. step 9. Maya asks you to find any duplicate entries and then delete them. Respond to her request as follows. So this is what's called conditional formatting. With conditional formatting, we can have a certain criteria, and if that criteria is met within a certain range, we can tell Excel to format the cells matching that criteria however we want. Again, this is what's called conditional formatting. Let me show you how it works here. In the range A4 to A16, use conditional formatting, highlight cells rules to highlight duplicate values in light red fill with dark red text. So if we look at the range A4 to A16, which is where we are going to apply the formatting. So I'll use the name box here, A4 to A16. Okay, so you can see what's being selected here. I'm going to go to the Home tab Styles group, conditional formatting, highlight cells rules, duplicate values. Now you can see right away the duplicate values are highlighted, and we can tell Excel how we want the formatting here. And we'll go with light red fill with dark red text. Again, you can see that in the instructions here. Part B, delete the row containing the second duplicate value. Now to delete a row, I'm going to place my cursor over row 16 in this case. You should see a right facing arrow here, and I'll right click and choose delete. Now you'll notice that the other highlighted cell is no longer highlighted, and that's because it doesn't meet the criteria. There's no duplicate value. So that's how conditional formatting works. Let's say, for instance, we tell Excel to format cells if a certain word appears, right? Let's use reorder as an example in column I. If reorder appears, we can have it formatted with a background fill color or whatnot. But as soon as reorder is gone and replaced with something else, then that formatting goes away because that criteria or condition is no longer satisfied. So I hope that this explanation makes sense. I know it's 2:45 in the morning as I'm recording this. All right, moving right along. Step 10, apply shading to the range A17 to B18 using Aqua Accent 1 lighter 80%, fifth column, second row of the theme colors palette to separate the range from the rest of the worksheet. So first we need to select A17 to B18. And again, I'm going to use the name box here. And again, they're asking us here, apply shading. Now to find shading, it's in the Home tab font group, but it's under a different name. It's actually called fill color. So the fill color here is Aqua Accent 1 lighter 80%. So remember the pattern, Aqua Accent 1, and you're looking for lighter 80%. Now, if you scroll down to the final figure, you'll see what this is supposed to look like here. Okay, so there you go. So it's actually called fill color. Don't let the instructions fool you here. Moving right along, step 11. To format the value as a proper dollar amount, decrease the number of decimal places in cell A18 to 2. So for some reason in cell A18, there's an extra decimal place. If we go to the Home tab number group, you'll see these two buttons here, increase decimal, decrease decimal. So we'll get rid of that extra decimal point. And by the way, let me undo this real quick. Notice right now, the drop-down menu, it reads custom. As soon as I get rid of that extra decimal place, now it's the accounting number format. Step 12. Maya wants to keep a running count of the items in inventory. In cell B18, enter a formula that uses the count A function, or count all, to count the values in the range B4 to B15 to determine the items in inventory. So let's look at cell B18 here. We are using the count A function. Now, why count A instead of count? Well, if we go with the count function, and you can see in the tooltip here, it counts the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. But in this case, when we look at the range here, B4 to B15, these are your item descriptions, right? There's no numbers here. So if you use the count function, it's going to end up returning 0. Now, count A or count all basically counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. So it's looking for text or values. So we're going to use count A, right? And you can see how the parentheses been opened for me, and I can just go ahead and type in my argument, in this case, the range B4 to B15. I'll close the parenthesis and hit enter, and you'll see that 12 is returned. And that should make sense because I have 12 items or 12 different items in inventory. Once again, you can take a look at the final figure. You can take a look at the final figure here and see that you have 12 inventory items in total. Step 13. Apply the accent 6 cell style to the range A3 to I3 to indicate those cells contain column headings, and to the range E16 to E18 to indicate those cells contain row headings. Now, you can go range by range to do this, but as you'll see, I can also select non-adjacent ranges here. All right, so I'm going to select A3 to I3, and the other range is E16 to E18. So I'll hold down Control and I'll select E16 to E18. And to apply cell styles in Excel, it's the Home tab Styles group. Choose the Cell Styles drop-down menu, and it's Accent 6. There you go, Accent 6. So again, you can see how both ranges have the cell styles applied. Now, you don't have to do what I did. You could just select A3 to I3, apply the Accent 6 style, and then do the same thing for E16 to E18. I'm just trying to save extra steps here. All right, how are we doing so far? If you need a break, you do have that pause button. Step 14, apply the accounting number format to the range G4 to H15 to show that the values are dollar amounts. So G4 to H15. There you go. And we'll apply the accounting number format. Now this should be pretty straightforward. Home tab number group, and there's accounting number format. Just like that. Step 15. Maya wants to know at a glance which items have the most inventory value. In the range H4 to H15, use conditional formatting to create a data bars rule with the gradient fill light blue data bar color option. So once again, with conditional formatting, we need to specify the range where the conditional formatting is going to apply. And it's going to be H4 to H15. So this is a data bars rule. Home tab styles group, conditional formatting, data bars. And among the choices, you want gradient fill light blue data bar. So data bars, gradient fill light blue data bar. Now, why is this important? Because right away we can see the trend here without having to carefully look at the values. So I hope that you find conditional formatting useful whenever you're working with worksheets in Excel. Moving right along, step 16, Maya also wants to highlight the items that need to be reordered. In the range I4 to I15, use conditional formatting, highlight cell rules to format cells containing a value equal to reorder in light red fill with dark red text. So once again, I need to select the range that the conditional formatting is going to apply to. And in the Home tab styles group, conditional formatting, highlight cell rules equal to, and I'm going to start typing in reorder. And there you go. And we'll stick with the default here, light red fill with dark red text, and we'll click OK. Now, as soon as cell I11 or I12 change, the formatting will go away, okay? But if any of the other cells become reorder, then that conditional formatting is going to apply. By the way, you can edit your conditional formatting rules by going into the conditional formatting menu and then choose manage rules. You could see what we've applied to this worksheet so far. And if you need to, you can also clear the rules, but don't clear rules from entire sheet. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back a couple of steps. So I just wanted to show you those things. Let's make sure to save. Step 17. In cell G16, enter a formula using the average function to display the average cost of the parts in the warehouse G4 to G15. So if we go down to G16 here, average cost, the average function looks like the sum function, except now what's going to happen is that Excel is going to add up all of the values in the range and divide by the number of values. That is how average works, folks. So again, returns the average arithmetic mean of its arguments, which can be numbers or names, arrays, or references. So we're going to take the average of G4 to G15. That's our argument, G4 to G15. So there's your average value, $152.50. Now we have minimum cost, and that's step 18. We're going to use the min function to display the cost of the cheapest part located in the warehouse. Again, the range is G4 to G15. So the min function is going to return the smallest number in a set of values. So if we use the argument G4 to G15, the lowest value in that range is $15. Now, if the minimum or the min function returns the lowest value, I'm sure you can figure out what the max function is going to do here. And that is step 19. We're going to use the max function to display the cost of the most expensive part located in the warehouse. Once again, G4 to G15. So equal sign max G4 to G15. And there you go. Okay, let me show you other ways to include functions in your worksheet besides typing things in. And one way is to go into the Formulas tab, go to the function library, and I could choose more functions, statistical, average, and I can type in G4 to G15 if I want, or I can use the point and click method, whatever works. And I'll just go ahead and type in G4 to G15. So that's one way to do it. And with the min function, I can use the point and click method. So I can just type in equal sign min and then select G4 to G15. So this is another way to do it. And then finally with the max function, let's say I don't have the max function here, I can use the FX button next to the formula bar or in the formulas tab, function library, insert function, and I can look for the max function or most recently used. Here's max. And then once again, G4 to G15. So these are other ways to insert functions into your worksheet. All right, moving right along. We're almost done here. Step 20, check the spelling in the workbook to identify and correct any spelling errors. I'm going to use our good old friend Control Home to take me back to cell A1. And of course, Control N is going to take you to the end of your worksheet, the last cell, which has either text or values. To check for spelling, go to the Review tab. Go ahead and dismiss that. Go to the Review tab, Proofing Group, click Spelling, and we'll go ahead and make our changes here. So external, and it says spell check complete, you're good to go. But as you've seen from past walkthroughs, check the final figure so that you don't end up missing something, because with the spelling tools in Microsoft 365, remember, it's just a tool. It doesn't catch everything, okay? Especially if you're using Word and PowerPoint. You need to go back through and proofread. Same thing here with Excel. But if you have a very large worksheet, you know, that could be tough. So there's my disclaimer there. All right. Step 21, change the tab color of the inventory list worksheet to Aqua Accent 1 to match the color of the bin list worksheet tab. Now, if you have many worksheets, it could help to use different colors to differentiate your worksheets. But in this case, they're asking us to match the color of bin list for inventory list. So I'll right click on the inventory list tab, go to tab color, and it's going to be Aqua Accent 1, 5th column, 1st row, and you can see how the colors match. Your workbook should look like the final figures on the following pages. Save your changes, close the workbook, and then exit Excel. Follow the directions on the website to submit your completed project. Again, go back, double check things, especially with spell check, because you've already seen it happen where I submitted the project and I lost points because the spell check feature didn't catch everything. All right, so let's take a quick break and I'll come back with the moment of truth. All right, let's submit this project for grading. I'll click submit, and we'll grab the graded summary report. "95 out of 100. What did we miss here? Sure enough. See, this is exactly what I was talking about. In the inventory list worksheet, cell B5 should contain the text external hard drive. So it's almost as if I just called it, right? So we need to go back and open up our project file here. So this is what I was talking about, folks. Don't just blindly follow what I'm doing, because you just saw it. External hard drive. Let's go ahead, check spelling again. Do you want to continue checking the beginning of the sheet? Sure. Oh, look at that. Spell check complete. You're good to go. Well, no, I'm not good to go here. I need to fix this. So let me make that correction. External. And you just saw it, folks. Spell check thinks that everything's good to go, but it's not. All right, let's go ahead and resubmit this. So this is why I'm doing this, to show you so that you don't end up making the same mistakes here. There we go. And now attempt number 2. Grab the graded summary report. And there you go, 100 out of 100. So once again, you've seen the pitfalls. Good luck on this project. It should be pretty straightforward, but remember, do your due diligence, especially when you're using spell check. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you around.